I'm not a Malayali, but I've been a fan of Malayalam movies, and I'm sure many of you are admirers too, for its quality and progressiveness. But the Malayalam film industry that churns these movies also has a dark underbelly. A committee that was set up by the Kerala government has now exposed how regressive and patriarchal a section of the industry is. The committee, called the Hema Committee, has some horrifying details on how women in Malayalam film industry are treated and how rampant sexual harassment is. Welcome to a special edition of Let Me Explain, this one co-hosted by Dhanya Rajendran.
In this episode, we look at why the Hema Committee was formed, 5 important takeaways from the report, and the concerns that we have with the report and why it's sort of an incomplete exercise.
So it's common knowledge that film industries across India are patriarchal and, let's say, not the most friendly or healthy environment for women to work in. Why did Kerala government specifically start this Hema Committee probe?
So before I answer that question, Pooja, I just want to tell our viewers that the News Minute has been following an incident which happened in 2017, which led to the formation of the Hema Committee, and all that has transpired over the years very seriously. Because we take reporting on gender issues very seriously, and every week either me, Pooja, or our other colleagues come and tell you that our reporting, if you believe in it, please do become subscribers. I'm sure you either listen to it or you just skip that section, but do take it seriously. For us to report on these issues that really matter, we need your support because we are a completely ad-free platform. So after you finish watching to this video, do go and become a subscriber. Now to answer your question, Pooja, it dates back to Feb 2017 when a female actor, quite a popular actor in Malayalam, Tamil, Kannada cinema, she was traveling in a car through Kochi when she stopped by 4 or 5 men and she sexually assaulted. So the industry is shocked. There are rumors that people in the industry could be involved. That is when a bunch of women from the Malayalam industry, including actors like Manju Warrier, Parvati, they go meet Pinarayi Vijayan, the Chief Minister, and tell him to do something to ensure safety of women. That is when the Kerala government forms the Hema Committee.
So this is in 2017 and the report was submitted in 2019. I'm sure many of our viewers are wondering, why is all this coming up now?
Well, the main reason is that there are big names which are apparently part of the report where the women have mentioned many people. The Kerala government dragged its feet for a long time. They kept saying that it's not a commission, it's just a committee, so we are not mandated to submit this before the assembly, that we are not mandated to take action. I think the only action the Kerala government took was to ensure that it remains buried for many years.
The Hema Committee report is actually 290 pages long, but almost 80 of those pages have been redacted, which means they've either been held back or blocked. Of this, 55 pages were depositions made by women on sexual harassment and assault. All of these accounts have now been redacted.
Well, that's kind of obvious because you cannot name victims of sexual harassment. The problem is that even if the names of the women are withheld and only their accounts are put forward, it's still easy for people to make out who these women and men are because the details would be obvious, right? And not just that, when Justice Hema first spoke to the members of WCC, she clearly told them that details would be kept confidential and she encouraged them to come and speak to the committee. In fact, this is perhaps the only reason why women went ahead and shared their darkest experiences. Otherwise, no one would want to do that. On screen is a message which the Hema Committee had sent to members of WCC, asking them to come forward and telling them that confidentiality would be kept.
But Dhanya, then people in the public will start wondering what's the whole point of the report, right?
Now, I think we have to differentiate here, Pooja. So what I was speaking about is from the perspective of the women, right? But when women speak to the committee and they submit proof, it is then up to the committee and the government of Kerala to decide what should they do with the report. Should they have made FIRs be registered? Like I said earlier, the only action which the Kerala government took was to bury the report.
In fact, Justice Hema begins the report by saying the sky is full of mysteries with the twinkling stars and the beautiful moon. She goes on to add, scientific investigation revealed that the stars do not twinkle, nor does the moon look beautiful.
But she's clearly saying that the stars that you see in cinema are not actual stars. It's just a mirage and that they're not beautiful either.
In fact, things are so dire At one point in the report, it says that women are even denied basic human rights in the film industry. And by rights, we mean basics like toilets and changing rooms. The report has mentioned 17 problems faced by women in the industry. Now we'll club them into 5 categories. The biggest problem is a mafia that controls the industry. The word mafia is not something I'm using, but this was a term used by a male actor to describe these influential people. Now, what is this mafia, Dhanya?
So, Pooja, according to people who deposed before the committee, there is this powerful lobby which is called Mafia, and it's controlled by 10 to 15 people. This includes actors, directors, producers, and even distributors. The report says that any man or woman who dares to utter any word against this powerful lobby, offending anyone in this lobby, will be taken to task. There seems to be 2 male actors, in fact, who have corroborated this version of the powerful lobby. They are saying that they were both banned from the industry. One actor says that he was allowed to be recast only after paying a fine of rupees 20 lakhs.
So this is some unwritten rule, I'm guessing. It's obviously not written anyway. It's not like a law.
Yeah, these bans are in fact unwritten. There's no law for it. So what it says is that there is a powerful lobby which also controls the unions and associations. So in fact, if they do not like someone, then they ensure that there is an unofficial ban on this person. The report also says that because of this, women are really scared. They're scared of this lobby. They're also scared of other powerful men. And therefore, they're not even able to talk about their experiences. They're scared to share it even with their own colleagues in cinema.
This actually brings us to the next most important finding: the high prevalence of sexual harassment, compromise and adjustment, as it's called. The Hema Committee says that sexual harassment is shockingly rampant in the Malayalam film industry, and it remains unchecked and uncontrolled.
The report is actually pretty clear. It says that harassment in the industry begins when women or girls seek offers. They are frequently told that you have to make adjustments or compromises. Apparently, these are 2 words which women in the industry are very familiar with. The report says that the exploitation is so common that women are told that, look, there are other successful women who have done this, so you should also comply, like showing these examples of women.
But the committee puts any proof for this in the public domain now?
Well, at some places, the committee does mention that they have access to audio, video clips, screenshots of WhatsApp messages, and other digital evidence. But one thing I can tell you is that some of these instances, from what I know, happened many years ago. Some of it happened in the 1990s. So clearly, producing proof would be impossible now.
In fact, one of the most triggering part of the report, Dhanya, was a section that was called knocks on the door. Many women have told the committee that when they stay in hotels during shoots, people knock on their doors at night. And men who are often intoxicated knock so aggressively that these women actually are worried that they'll break down the doors.
Let me tell you something, Pooja, which is not part of the report, but which I know happened. Justice Hema had called for a closed-door meeting with most of these women. And it was asked how many of the women had the midnight knocks on their door. One of my sources told me that 80% of the people in the room said yes. That's how rampant the problem is. A majority of men also think that women who are willing to act in intimate scenes or romantic scenes would also be willing to do the same offset, the report has found. So men in the industry make open demands for sex with little hesitation or embarrassment.
A common response from people would be, why choose this job then? Why not go for a more safer, dignified profession, right? Director Anjali Menon answered this very well. In fact, listen to what she had to say.
We are artists. We're here to work. We're here to do work that we love. And I've heard people say then, if you are so bothered about your safety and about not wanting to compromise on your values, then go join some other industry. Why? Why should I? I'm here to work. I'm here to do the job that everybody else is doing. And if I'm as good as everybody else, then why shouldn't I? Why should I be subjugated because of my gender? We're talking about equal opportunities here.
So one aspect that we need to mention here is that the report hints that one or more minors may have shared their experiences of sexual harassment because the report does use terms like girl and women separately.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, one paragraph that I read clearly omits the word woman and it says girl. I'm just going to read what it says. It says the girl also said that demand for sex can be made by anybody in cinema: actor, producer, director, production controller, or any other person. The third big takeaway for me from the report is how the industry operates at an informal level when it comes to women. Women have no contracts. They are not even informed of what their salaries are, and they're terribly underpaid like elsewhere. There are two instances mentioned in the report. A female actor was signed for 25 days, but it took about 32 days for the shoot to be completed. But despite this extension, she was given a pay of just 8,000 rupees for 32 days. This is, of course, far below the pay of a daily wage worker. In another case, a female actor was promised 50,000 rupees for 20 days. Guess how much she was paid? 4,000 rupees.
The fourth big takeaway is that the Hema Committee says even internal committees, which we know as posh committees or ICCs, won't be enough. Why? Because the report says they fear that the power structure in the Malayalam film industry will take full control of the IC and it will be of no use at all to protect any woman. The committee, in fact, lists out their reason for believing so. They say that these powerful persons in cinema, the mafia or lobby, will coerce and threaten individuals who are part of the IC. They will tell them how exactly to deal with a complaint, and if they do not, their future may be ruined, is what the report says. Now, personally, Pooja, I disagree with this because a lot has changed after 2018. Remember, this report was compiled between 2017 to 18. Right. A lot has changed after that. The WCC went to court, they won a case. The Kerala High Court has made it compulsory for all Malayalam film sets to have an internal committee. And a lot of young people working on these sets do say that it helps them. So I'm not really sure about this recommendation by the committee.
So now that brings us to the final major takeaway. It's actually not a finding from the report, but it just shows the attitude of people in the industry. So in many places, the report mentions what the men told the committee. I found some of it amusing, but most of them really infuriating. It seems many men in cinema try to impress upon the committee that sexual harassment exists not only in cinema, but it's there in every other field. So, sexual harassment in cinema should not be blown out of proportion. That's what they've actually said.
So it's the same old excuse, right? It happens elsewhere, so what's the big deal? The committee at one point says the industry is like an old boys club, but it also notes that there are a few good men and the women have mentioned about these men. As for the others who spoke before the committee, there's one more point. They said that most of these sex advances or sexual favors are asked by men who are doing fake auditions and fake casting calls. So they're saying if women fall for these fake advertisements, they just can't call the entire industry as bad. That's the excuse that they've given. But what I would like to ask these men is that do you not have any answer for the fact that so many women have shared these experiences? So are all of them lying? And what about the report's finding that members of the WCC have lost out on opportunities and on their careers because of what they've done?
The report is important and it's path-breaking, of course, but primarily due to the WCC, a set of women who put everything at risk to ensure that their industry is cleaned up. But I have to mention at this point that the report is also incomplete. The most glaring, of course, is the fact that there are no names. So basically, there are no perpetrators.
Let me add, this is one point that confuses me. While I understand that the women cannot be given the burden of naming these people, because we have seen in the past what the consequences are, right? When women have to go to courts or go to the police, they have to face the repercussions. Yeah. But that instead has become a license for these men to get away. And that's what has happened in the report as well. Which also brings us to the rest of the recommendations that were given by the committee. There are 3 sets of recommendations given by Justice Hema, Valsala Kumari and actor Sharda. All these people were members of the committee. Justice Hema says that a tribunal should be formed and this tribunal will look at everything related to Malayalam cinema. Other than that, she has certain odd recommendations. Don't torture women for refusing sexual advances. Let those who do not follow the rules be paying a penalty. Now, the Kerala government, meanwhile, wants to organize a conclave in which men and women from the cinema and serial industry will sit opposite each other and discuss issues. I know that a few people from the WCC have said that yes, this conclave could be a way forward, but imagine a perpetrator will sit opposite a victim and discuss solutions. I mean, this is the cruel reality, but I feel it's also ridiculous. In fact, a friend of mine who works in the industry was saying that this is an unconventional problem, so it requires unconventional solutions. But there are clearly not many. Valsala Kumari has said that there should be written contracts with safety measures written in and that mandatory training should be given for everyone in the industry. Then we move on to Sharda, the third member, who has the easiest solution? Welfare funds.
Actually, the recommendations by Sharda, who by the way is a 3-time national award winning actor, is at best pathetic. Sharda says that sexual harassment exists in industry, but she also blames women's clothing, suggesting that modern dressing style exposes too much and contributes to the problem. She also clearly ignores the power dynamic and the exploitative nature of these harassment. And of course, she blamed a lot of this on Western culture.
That's the same as saying that what were you wearing while you have been raped, right? So the report is one step in the process of cleaning up the industry. A lot, of course, will now depend on how the industry, the government, and the society at large will react to this. Will the Kerala government also take note of the serious criminal charges that were mentioned in the report, and will they act on it? Will the men in the industry who have made it such a hostile place for women change the ways in which they are working? We will keep a strict tab on that. Do follow the News Minute, and let me repeat for you again, do become a subscriber and support our journalism, because without that, this is really not possible. And for those who did not understand despite a let us explain, I suggest that you go read Nidhi Suresh's story on the News Minute and News Laundry. It's called An Orchestrated Nightmare, the sexual assault that changed the Malayalam film industry, in which she traces that night when the sexual assault happened and how the industry reacted, how Kerala society reacted. So do read the article and do send us your suggestions. Thank you.